Today, we will be learning and exploring about the rusted remains of the historic building known as Woolery Mill. I managed to get in touch with the mill's owners, Lenny Bush and Randy Cassidy, and obtained an interview. I also learned many cool things about the mill. I was granted full access to explore the abandoned site and record footage of what history had left behind for us. Even though Woolery Mill has security and it is private property, the owners love to see people visit and explore the mill. There is even a trail you can explore on the side. Woolery Mill was built in 1930 by a man named Henry Woolery. The mill closed down in 1996 after being in the Woolery family for 3 generations. This mill was once a busy, roaring establishment full of machines and tools which were used to cut the limestone brought from the surrounding quarries, including 2 right on the site. The mill was also used to house a wide variety of structures and buildings. The mill has a total of 76,000 square feet with a 24,000 square foot banquet hall and an industrial kitchen. An important relic remaining from the past is a grand-scale all-metal mill building and its overhead tramway for traveling cranes. Some other remaining features of the mill include a limestone face headquarters building, metal mill office, machine shop, blacksmith shop, a limestone-built storage structure, and 3 sections of limestone wall displaying the firm's craftsmanship. Even though the mill is closed, it is still a site for business. The exterior of the mill is the same as it was when it was working, including their original soaring high ceilings, exposed beams, and massive windows located where they were when it was booming with life. The mill is now used for weddings and other events. It was also rebuilt after the site was declared a national landmark by the National Register of Historic Places in 2002. I met with Lenny Bush where I was driven around the property. Surprisingly, I got to see more than I thought I would. I was also on a call with Randy, who was at Mount Rushmore when we talked. I want to thank Randy's wife for being very patient with me while I bugged Randy. The first thing the owners and I discussed was the big red machine displayed outside the mill. The red machine is called a power. As its name states, was the power source to the derrick cranes. The derrick cranes were taken away, but there are representations of them still around the mill's property as streetlights. Someone would sit behind the power and use the series of levers to run the cranes. These cranes were used to pick up the limestone and move them. A cool fact to learn about the mill's history is that they had an unusual way to communicate with each other. Workers had to use hand signals to communicate due to the machines being loud, and so it was hard to hear. After we talked about this big red machine, I had to ask about an even bigger red machine, the fire truck. When they first bought the mill, the utilities wanted them to upsize the line to pay for it. It was a substantial amount of money, and they had no bearing on fire safety. The fire truck was bought in an auction by Randy for $6,000. So instead of paying for the upsized line, the city agreed to let the line remain the same with the fire truck to protect it. This fire truck was Bloomington's first boom truck. A boom truck is a vehicle that allows water to be sprayed at various angles. Instead of having to bring water up a hose up the steep ladder, firefighters use the boom truck to put out fires easily. The next thing we talked about was the Bloomington sign hanging from the crane. Originally, these big letters were hanging on the Bloomington Hospital. The hospital was rebranding as Indiana University Health and originally planned to trash the letters. However, Randy had a plan for them. The person who was taking down the letters already promised the G to his daughter, Grace. Randy took all of the other letters other than G and hung them up. If you look at the letters, you will see that the G is a different shade of blue than the other letters because it was repainted for Grace. Eventually, during the second beer fest, the G was reunited and hung up with the rest of the Bloomington sign. Over the years, I have heard rumors about the mill being demolished. However, those rumors are false. Randy told me, and I quote, "Never, not under our watch." However, there are future plans for Woolery. They plan to build a residential building inside of the wide side of the mill. I was shown some pictures of what it would look like. They originally planned to start construction in 2020, but due to COVID, plans were altered and pushed back. Yet, Randy doesn't know when they plan to start building it in the future. I had many questions to ask about the mill and its history. A while back, I was very upset with my mother and I decided to go on a walk. I decided to walk to the mill because this place calms me down. I saw a trail and I decided to walk it. Just past the entrance of the quarry by the interstate, there was what looked to be a shed that had burnt down. These tiny structures were used as a place where the workers could come and warm up if it was cold out. If you look on the outside, you can see some coat hangers. There are multiple of these on the property. I was also given a tour of the modern rebuilt section of the mill. However, there were wedding preparations, so I will not be showing the footage I got. Because the mill is a historic landmark, when building the modern section, they had to be careful of what was changed. I was told they tried to keep as much of the original building as possible. If you go inside, you can see many photos and pieces of its original structure. I chose Woolery Mill as my sense of place for a few reasons. The first reason is because it's my safe space. Whenever I'm upset, I could just go here and feel all my anger vanish. Another reason is because I have always loved exploring places lost in time. I have always been a history buff, so getting to explore an abandoned structure that has an amazing history behind it was a dream come true. I recorded well over 10 hours of footage, partially because I wanted to be safe, but also because I needed footage to go along with the interview audio. Woolery Mill is an important piece of Bloomington's history and hopefully will never be forgotten.